The Alarm NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. We have 11 games on this Friday main slate. No 10 p.m. games to be found here, James. Once again, the DraftKings, and I guess we've now picked up on their trend. Larger slates, no 10 p.m. games. Smaller slates will have the 10 p.m. games included. So those small slates aren't too small here. So what could have been, I think it would have been a 14-game slate had everybody had the 10 p.m. games been included. We are down to 11. Starts at 7 o'clock, Utah, Boston, Atlanta, Indiana. 7 o'clock games there. Your late night hammer games, Orlando, Denver, Miami, Phoenix. Obviously big news in that one. Denver's on a back-to-back. Orlando is going to be without Franz Wagner, already ruled out after suffering an injury there on the Wednesday slate. We have Phoenix waiting on the Kevin Durant news. I think I saw him. He was practicing or questionable to play there for Phoenix in that matchup. So Dallas and Portland, they're running it back. We got a great matchup in the West between Minnesota and Houston. That could be a potential playoff preview. Clippers and Pelicans going at it. Chicago and Charlotte with a potential. Have we had the official word return of Zach LaVine to the Bulls lineup? I know there was some indication he could return for this game. I don't know if he's been officially ruled in or out yet. See him as listed as questionable here. So we'll see if he is back or not, but obviously we'll have to kind of recalibrate our thoughts going on in that matchup. Washington, Cleveland, running it back. Donovan Mitchell was on pace to slaughter the slate on Wednesday, but that game got out of hand. Jared Allen had a monster day. Max Strus didn't miss a shot, I don't think, in that one. So they're going back. Knicks, Philly, OKC, Brooklyn. The rest of the 11-game slate here, James. Game total-wise, though, we put a little emphasis on that Atlanta-Indiana matchup for a reason. What are we looking at here?
We are looking at a lot of points.
A lot of points.
264 implied points.
Oof.
But this opened at. They just keep setting the bar higher and higher. Like it just. I think like a couple weeks ago, we were like, yeah, that's the highest total we've ever seen. This is not even close. Like this is like 4 points higher than whatever game insert. It was either an Atlanta or an Indiana game. I don't remember which one it was, but 264. This is the game that was. What was it the first time, John? 255?
Yeah, didn't they go for 270 in this?
No, it went for 309 points.
Right. I undersold it. It went for 309. Yes,
you went for 309 points. I mean, I haven't looked at my favorite player in the NBA's price tag yet. But I assume after what he did last game that
it's not.
Okay. So
we'll talk about it.
Okay. Well, let's just get into it because two of them are 264 total is a 3.5 point spread. Two of them are underpriced at point guard.
Yeah, listen, point guard position here. You got Luka Doncic at 11-6. Hey, no knock on Luka. Guy had 41 actual and 31 minutes there against Portland. All love, much love. Yep. SGA against Brooklyn, 10-4. We know what he's capable of doing. 62.8 fantasy points against Atlanta the other day, and a game that went for 279 total points scored. But Haliburton, 10,200 same price. Man is coming off with 31-12, 63 fantasy points, same price. The last time these two teams played each other, 37-5-16, 78 fantasy points, just $100 cheaper. Trae Young coming off of another really good game for him there in that matchup against the Thunder. Had a 70-burger 2 games prior. He went for 58 fantasy points. He had 38 actual in that game, just 8 assists. A guy that's been routinely over 10, 11 assists per game here. So, I mean, again, this is a monster slate. It's 11 games. It's got Luka. It's got Joel Embiid. It's got Nikola Jokic. Tyrese Haliburton may be the one. Maybe the guy today.
I find it just incredibly interesting, just like looking at his pricing history this year. Like we started in the low 9s, or we started high 9s, and he made it to 11K and then suddenly he goes down. He makes it back up to 11-3.
Mhm.
And like, what are we doing? He was 11-3 on December 15th. And since December 23rd, he has gone 61, 61, 65, 70, 58, 63 fantasy points. And since December 23rd, his price has dropped $400. And he hasn't gone for less than 58 fantasy points.
Yeah.
I'm just like, we were very complimentary earlier in the year of DraftKings, like seemingly like tip top like shape they were in, right? Like they came out of the gates no soft pricing.
No.
And now we have a guy who's $400 less than he was despite 6 straight games of 58 plus fantasy points.
Yeah.
And 5 of 6 over 60. I just does not make any sense to me.
Donovan Mitchell is still $9,500.
Yeah, he's still
Now, below it is still a very real potential.
yeah.
They won by 39 in that game. He played 24 minutes. He had 40 fantasy points.
He didn't even shoot well in that game.
But like, if Max Strus doesn't score, what do you have, 24?
A lot. He scored a lot.
Maybe they hang around a little bit longer. Maybe you get 30 minutes out of Donovan. Maybe Donovan Mitchell scores more points if Max Strus isn't the one knocking down those shots here. So, it's there. You had Devin Booker down at $9,200. All Devin Booker did was go for 35 actual against the Clippers there. He gets a little bit of a price dump for him. Anthony Edwards is at $9K. So while we're certainly in love, I think, again, no disrespect to Luka Doncic, but like SGA, Haliburton, Trae Young at 10-4, 10-2, 10-1 are all elite prices. And then if you think that Donovan Mitchell isn't going to be in a blowout, or we think maybe a bit more of a competitive game, I mean, he can go for 65 as well, and he's cheaper than all of them. So how would you rank SGA, Haliburton, Young, and Mitchell here?
Why are you doing that to me?
I'm just asking.
It's
part of the job. Running the show.
Oh man, imagine putting SGA third on anything but an MVP list. Haliburton.
Yeah, go ahead, Haliburton.
Haliburton 1, Young 2, SGA 3, but it's more like 1A, 1B, 1C than it is like a. Like, how do I put SGA third in the list, John? Brooklyn is scuffling. Maybe only because if Brooklyn continues to play the way they've played, do they even stay competitive in that game? I don't know. I don't know. So I'll put Haliburton 1, Young 2, SGA 3, but I'll tell you, I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like putting SGA 3, but what are we supposed to do here? 264 implied points in that game. What are you supposed to do?
We talked about it. This was on the second leg of a back-to-back on the road for SGA in that game,
where they were getting blown out for a lot of the game.
Yeah. And he had it in him to go for 33, 13, 8. I mean, I saw, I think it was a TikTok about worst draft day mistakes, and I didn't even remember this, but the Charlotte Hornets actually drafted SGA, traded him to the Clippers for Miles Bridges and 2 second-round picks. Can you...
Dude, he's been traded twice. What are both those teams thinking?
We were all in on the SGA train when he was with the Clippers. Like, we were so excited when he got traded to the Thunder. We were like, SGA by himself on his own team. Like, this is sick. He's crazy good. No disrespect to like Anthony Edwards there at 9K. It's a tougher matchup. We know what he's capable of doing. Man just went for 50, 35 actual against the Pelicans, 35 actual against the Knicks, 31 against LA, 44 against Dallas. Yeah, Anthony Edwards is really good at basketball. You want to spend 9K on him? Like, knock your socks off. Go for it there. Brunson, Maxey now down to $8,500. Little price drop on Maxey here. James Harden 85. Terry Rozier, who you pointed out, came back, missed a game, didn't care. 36 minutes, 34 actual, 53. He's coming off of now 42 and 34 actual points in each of the last 2 games. Now Chicago, slowest pace team in the league. So, is he going to be able to repeat that production? I don't know, but it's there. Murray's on a back-to-back. Heroes at 81. Hero himself also coming off of another really good game, 40 plus fantasy points for him there. So 8K range is pretty loaded. You know, a lot of top end plays here.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to ignore Jalen Brunson assists the last 2 games with OG Anunoby there. And I'm not saying it's direct correlation, but there was always the difference where OG created more space. Like, not that OG is just a like space creator, but he does that more than RJ Barrett ever did. And now if you don't try like step out on Jalen Brunson, he's just gonna pick you apart. Look, I mean, 27 assists in the last 2 games. So
Right.
I kind of love how the Knicks are coming together.
You just look at they got rid of their backup point guard.
Yep, got
So,
rid of their
like,
backup point
yeah,
guard and got a guy who provides so much for them
in spacing.
in places that RJ Barrett never did. So
Correct.
like Brunson is just a really solid play. I do like the maxi shout at the price. Again, the always issue is when Joel Embiid did what Joel Embiid did last game. I mean, it just doesn't matter what anyone else does. He's just going
Came
to
back from a 4-game absence and triple doubles in 3 quarters.
with foul trouble the whole game.
Like,
He had like 2 early fouls, had the 3rd foul in the second quarter. He had 30-point triple double in
what
like
is Isaiah Hartenstein going to do in this game?
yeah, that's poor guy. I mean,
Right?
what is anyone doing at this point? Like there's
GG's here, sir. You
yeah,
know, like
GG's.
just
So I mean, like I'm good with Maxi, but you know, how about like Kyrie in the same matchup just went crazy? Is this game going to stay competitive? Obviously, I
right.
don't know, but like didn't
Kyrie's
matter
point
last.
prop in this game was 21.5. He had it before halftime.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't. It that's what like if he does that again, it doesn't matter if he plays 3 quarters. He's giving you if he gives you 55. That's a smash. I don't like all these guys are fine in the AK tier. I don't think any particular one is a priority for me though.
Okay. Mid-tier range here. Derek White, McCollum's down to 73. You know, Bradley Beal 72. Does Jalen Suggs become more interesting? Cole Anthony become more interesting without Franz Wagner here?
Yeah, I mean they're down a whole bunch of guys too. Like
Harris too, right?
Franz is out. Franz, Fultz, Harris, Isaac, Ingles, possibly Wendell Carter. So they have a lot of guys on their injury report. Yeah, I do think both of them are incredibly interesting. It was great to see Jalen Suggs be able to log all those minutes because he's
Mm-hmm.
always seemingly capped in like the low. And I know there was overtime in that game, but
Yeah.
um,
2.
yeah, overtimes in that game. But it was good to see him, you know, play 40 minutes, know that he can, and they're not like because he's been injury prone all
Yeah.
year. So I don't love the 6,800 price tag though, John. Not gonna lie,
Sure.
that's a little for me.
It's bummed because of all the
Injuries, right? I guess what do they do? Caleb Houston
He got the
probably
minutes.
starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably starts for Franz. He wasn't bad either. He actually had a pretty good game, and we'll get there. But it'll be interesting to see like Caleb Houston. Yeah, he might start, but is he actually going to play like big minutes?
Sure.
With like with Cole Anthony back and whatnot. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm probably not going to get the Suggs at 60.
I was gonna say, so obviously he only played 28 minutes, but Dennis Smith Jr. also wasn't active for the game. So that was such a weird thing for Dinwiddie here. I thought we would have seen more minutes. Maybe Brooklyn getting fined. Vaughn will tighten up his rotations a little bit here.
This game got out of hand. Didn't it? Or I know it was only 11.
Maybe it got blown out and then they sat guys and they came back.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just assuming Brooklyn's getting blown out every game because they have.
They could be. They could be.
Yeah, I don't know. The minutes are a little weird. What did Cam Thomas play?
Cam Thomas played 17.
Oh my god.
I don't know who got the minutes for Brooklyn in this game. He could popcorn machine and find out, but like no DSJ. Cam Thomas barely played, didn't really play 28 minutes.
Did they just like play Mikal? What do we got here? Brooklyn, Houston. Okay. Brooklyn, Houston. 20 minutes for Trendon Watford off the bench. 20 minutes for Dayron Sharp off the bench.
Mikal played 36. Did they play him at point guard at some point?
So Royce O'Neal played 30 off the bench. I'm
Okay.
assuming they had to go small with Royce O'Neal. They just were good with like Dinwiddie lost out the final 3 minutes of the game. So if you think about that, he plays.
He was just playing 35 minutes without DSJ, right?
Sure.
Now he played 28. So
yeah.
We'll see. I guess maybe probably can't touch the net situation here at the moment. Got 32 minutes out of Scoot Henderson here. Again, they lost by like 30 in that game. So kind of got to go there. Utah versus Boston. Do you have any interest in like Sexton or anybody there? No, we'll get to Clarkson in a moment.
It's just not the best pace spot for
no.
So I'd probably pass.
Okay. Anybody else here before we go?
What do we have? The Nembhard status questionable. Okay. I mean, I saw a lot of people play Jaden Hardy for some reason. I mean, not that he was bad, but if you
the blowout,
yeah, it was just, and they're running it back, same matchup. So possibly that. I played McConnell the other day, a little underwhelming, but like we know what he is. He is going to operate as the backup point guard if Nembhard sits. So if Nembhard were to sit, I think 19 minutes are reasonable. TJ McConnell in 19 minutes against Atlanta could go for 30 like 6 fantasy points, and it would be like the most unsurprising thing of the night.
I'm checking to see if Boston plays on a back-to-back here. Home versus Friday, Saturday. Boston does. They play the Pacers.
Oh, Horford's questionable already.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. He's already Pacers. Oof.
Right.
Al definitely needs his rest if he's going to be running up and down the floor.
So I mean, they're 14.5-point home favorites against the Jazz. I don't know. Does like Peyton Pritchard become interesting at all, or 4,500? Got 25 minutes in that Thunder game.
He's been playing. He's been playing a lot. If you just look through Peyton Pritchard's like recent logs, like he's their clear.
Remember we talked about this. They played him over Drew Holiday in that game at the end.
Yeah, true. And they've also, I think, I don't want to like definitively say this without looking it up, but it seems like recently, I mean, Boston plays a short rotation, right? Like they do not play deep rotation. He's like playing more than Hauser, or at least he did last game. He played more.
Sure.
So
yeah, I'm just wondering with the 14.5-point spread, if Pritchard gets his 20 to 25 minutes here, worth a dart throw look on the Celtics on the front leg of a back-to-back here. So.
Sure. And we might not need it depending on like what opens up throughout the day, but it's not a bad shout, John.
Sure. Richardson got 20 minutes ish. Porter, probably nothing down here. Alvarado, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Trey Murphy is questionable again.
Yeah.
So look at the minutes, and that was a competitive game. 27 minutes for Jose Alvarado. That's 22, 27 the last 3 games, dude. He's 4,100. I wish he was like 38 still. But I mean, 4,100 is a good price if he's going to possibly play 27 minutes.
Agreed. You mentioned McConnell already. He got the 18 minutes there, 17 fantasy points. Moving on over to shooting guard here. Some guys we discussed already. Those we have not: Paul George, Brandon Ingram, Jaylen Brown's down to 8K. A little price drop on him. DeJounte Murray, $7,700 in that game against Indy. He went for 42.8 DraftKings points in that matchup.
Nothing really to add about the top names. Like George and Ingram are fine if you land there. Jalen, 8K is a good price, not like my favorite price. Simons was on a limit last game. And if they get blown out again, you don't even need to worry about it. He's going to be limited again.
Yeah.
he ain't gonna play the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Brogdon only got 15 minutes in that game, but they were blown out. So
yeah, Brogdon gets no blowout run. I do like DeJounte. I would say anyone in this game really is intriguing.
I was say, if there was a time to play everybody.
Yeah, I mean, DeJounte 77, finally the price like coming down.
Bogdan had a monster game. 23 actual, 34 fantasy points for him, 28 minutes. Probably finding my way to a $6,100 Bogdan in a lot of lineups there.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is, I mean, Jalen Johnson comes back and the minutes go down, right?
Sure. And Jalen Johnson's been amazing.
Right. He's been right. Jalen Johnson's not losing time unless he's in. I mean, he was in foul trouble last game and still ended up playing what he played because.
I think the only time he was limited was that time he took his rebounds prop.
Yep, that was
I
literally
was like, yeah,
that was
that was
the
the only game.
one.
That was the
Yeah,
only game.
he's taken off since then. Beal 72 is I think a really good price if there's no Durant. He played 41 minutes. That was I remember doing the show the other day and I was like, yeah, no problem getting to Beal because he played 34 minutes on a back to back. That just goes to show you that there's zero limit. If there's no KD, the report was, and you touched on it, he partially went through practice and he's listed as questionable for Friday. So we'll see what the Durant's. It wouldn't surprise me if he sat out again, but if he does, Bradley Beal 72 is a great price. I mean, Bradley Beal, 9K player on Washington, right? And
Yeah.
uh
The points have been great. Just no other peripheral stats that we would expect for him to get. So
5 and 4 assists were pretty good. He's 7 for 20 from the floor. Leave a lot. That's a lot to be desired. You know, if he's 10 for 20, I mean, we're talking about 40 burger there.
Yep. Would you play Bridges at 71? Those minutes with the Thunder here? I mean,
and look at the position.
Yeah, shooting at small forward.
Finally got the small forward back. Yeah, I'd play him in tournaments.
Okay, get him. Strus is still here, obviously coming off of his monster game there. 40 fantasy points, 24, 9 of 13 shooting. Cole Anthony could be something that with the scoring potential that he brings to the table, someone to look at. 26 minutes in that game. Jalen Green, 32 minutes. He's been decent with the guys out of the lineup there. Dylan Brooks, Tyrese missed last game out there. Jordan Clarkson followed up his triple-double with a 36 actual point game.
That game was insane.
It was.
That game was
the
insane.
Alec Burks 3 to send to OT was something else.
The shot making was crazy in that game. Bojan was crazy in that game. Burks was crazy. Clarkson was just like putting everyone in a freaking blender that whole fourth quarter.
Right? They hang 148 and they can't win a game.
148 and they cannot win. Oh my god. I mean, dude.
What was Cade? Wait, did we go by Cade?
Yes. No, they're on the late slate. No, they're on the late slate.
Right.
I think there is definitely something to be said, and we talked about this the other night. Like, the Jazz rotation is very hard to figure out. But what it looks like is Clarkson, Markkanen, and get ready for this one, Simone Fontecchio are like the 3 most secure guys in terms of minutes.
Hey, Fontecchio's earned that, you know?
He has been very good. But like when Clarkson's going like this, there's nobody taking him off.
The man had the highest usage rate on the Lakers for 10 years off their bench, right? Like,
dude, he's $6,200.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was saying to you the other night. Like, he was obviously not going to triple double again. They hadn't done it in years. Like, they hadn't done it in like a long time. But 6K Jordan Clarkson was too cheap. So is 6'2 Jordan Clarkson. I know Boston is an elite defense, but if Utah were to keep this game competitive, you know who's helping? You know who's probably doing what he's done the last 2 games? It's probably a mixture of Clarkson and Lauri Markkanen.
Not only that, but I mean, like, okay, Peyton Pritchard's now on the floor for 25 minutes. That's not Drew Holiday. You're on a switch Jordan Clarkson on the Peyton Pritchard. Like, hey, fast PP. Good luck. You're not playing D here. You're the wrong side of the floor. You get ISO'd on Jordan Clarkson. So. No, I agree with you. Again, Bogdan is right there as well. Giddey in this spot. We thought, hey, Giddey, minutes, Atlanta.
Shocker.
22.
It's just always, Yep. Saw it come. We saw it coming. I mean, we should have saw it coming.
We should have back-to-back. It was just, the writing should have been on the wall for us that it was not the right spot. Hey, for the per minute, he was great.
There was. He also crushed Brooklyn the other day when they played 20 actual 6 and 5 in that game.
So I was saying, like, if you want to take a dart throw on him, you just know the risks. Oubre in for Melton, 27 minutes for him, 31 fantasy points now, 28 and 27 minutes back-to-back games. Now those games were both against Chicago. Now going up against the Knicks, we know how bad the Knicks have been defensively. I guess the question is, OG Anunoby's now there on the wing playing defense. Is that someone that draws Oubre? Does he guard Maxey, you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I think they, especially because they don't have you like Oubre or OG's gonna guard the best player, but you just can't put him on Joel. Like
Sure.
he's gonna
Well,
get killed.
Yeah.
So he just by default he'll try to chase Maxi around.
Okay.
Probably do a good job. So Oubre should have some pretty good looks throughout this game.
Big price bump on Ben Mathurin here.
And to
47 to 55, now 57 here.
Dude, I'm just no surprise in this camp. I'm just saying, no surprise whatsoever that you see Carlisle mad scientist his way to another win, but Mathurin after smashing just plays 25 minutes.
Yeah. Caruso's 56, but obviously Levine's back. That'll probably knock him down. A lot of questionables down here. What did Grayson Allen end up doing the other day? Grayson come through for us here? Kind of 24 fantasy points. I always like the minutes on Grayson Allen. If like Eric Gordon and Durant are out, I have no problem just like throwing Grayson Allen in a cash game lineup.
Yep.
Where we go? There's no Jimmy Butler. There's no Jimmy Duncan Robinson down here at 5,100.
Dude, he's actually he hit like this like he's dribbled. He's taking people off the bounce this year. It's crazy. He had 11 of his 13 actual in the fourth quarter of that game and put it on ice. I'm okay with it. He's kind of like gone away from the peripheral stats. I think coincidentally that happened when Tyler Hero and Bam like both just like come back and then suddenly he's not getting peripheral stats anymore.
Yeah.
So he really needs to make a lot of shots, but
Anthony Black probably gonna see some decent minutes like he's been, but
I mean I don't.
Yeah. You got Norm 46.
Yeah, I mean I like that. I'm comfortable playing Norm under 5K. It's when we start getting above that 5K range where I'm just kind of like,
Yeah, that's fine. Excuse me. Amen Thompson, 20 minutes for him.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. If there's no Tyrese and Tyrese's listed questionable again, then we probably should keep seeing. Yeah. He actually ended up only being 12% owned.
Which is surprising because we had him a little bit higher than that. But he's 3,900. Would you 29 minutes?
Probably
willing to give it a look.
It's funny. We kind of said it when we talked about it. Like Burks and who was the other shooting guard value at that tier? And we were like, Kennard. And like Merrill was $1,000 cheaper. And it wasn't like a great play because if that game doesn't blow out, is Sam Merrill only playing 7? He's playing 15 to 17 minutes, but they won by 39. So there's obviously that's live to happen again here.
Always live to happen again. I'm pulling up the popcorn machine just to see what his. So
he played over Craig Porter in the first half.
Yeah.
He's like firmly in the rotation.
Yeah, first sub in. First subs. He was in that game. Strus, Wade, Coro came out. Merrill, Niang, Levert came in. Merrill played until the 5-minute mark of the second quarter. So he got like 9 straight minutes, 10 straight minutes of that game. And then he didn't play again until the 5-minute mark of the third and then played the entire fourth and blowout run. So
that's it,
but maybe he would have played the last 5 minutes of the third and then played the first 5 minutes of the fourth, right? Like
18 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's in there. Yeah,
something like that. All right, small forward. Jason Tatum.
We didn't mention Levert. I don't think we mentioned Levert, by the way, but he had another 40 bomb, 6,400.
23 minutes.
Dude, he looks incredible. Cleveland is peaking at the right time. I hope they get Garland and Mobley back at some point and they just like all peak together because that's a really good basketball team with the way that Jared Allen's played too. Like that could be a scary team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Levert's super good. They just got to figure out their rotation when he's back. Yes, again, Tatum 97 here at small forward. Kawhi Leonard's at $8,600. DDR at 82. Laurie Markkanen's $8K.
Yeah, I mean the DDR thing. Vooch is also questionable.
Okay.
So, like, if you can't play DDR at 82, I know it's a really good spot, but it would just not the spot for me. If
it's too bad we may lose Drummond here against Charlotte.
Yeah, true. That's true. Tatum's fine, and so is Kawhi. Kawhi's been really, really good. We just know like how annoying the Pelicans defense can be for like opposing teams, and they've been really, really good lately. So that whole top tier, my like, I would say the first guy I'm like highly intrigued by is maybe Jalen Williams.
Okay.
I don't even know if highly intrigued is like the right way to phrase it. I just intrigued by Jalen Williams at
Okay.
7,200.
Yeah, I mean, we lost our guy Franz Wagner, so we can't.
Yeah.
That had been sort of our go-to here. I'm kind of with you, right? I mean, what did Jaquez do? 39 minutes for Jaquez, no
Yeah.
Butler, like
Yeah.
right?
He's playing. He's just not coming off the floor.
Yeah, 39, 38, 35, 39, 39. You get him at $6,300. Price drop actually on him here.
He's just not coming off the floor.
Yep. And what's funny is like 0 rebounds, 4 rebounds, 1 rebound, 5 rebounds, 10 rebounds, 1, 6, 1, 2, 8. Like, can he, if these ever sort of combined with just this, you're looking at like 50 fantasy points there. So,
and the assist too. 8-2-1-6-1.
well, as I said, I ran them up and down. If those two ever like, slot machine up to each other, where you have 10, 8, right? Like, it would have been, it'd be something to watch here. So you got him. Cam Johnson played 32 minutes, had 33 fantasy points in that game. I don't know if we continue to trust that or not. OG Anunoby's getting all of the minutes. You and I talk a lot about liking his role, liking his spacing on him, but we do have to also kind of just talk about the player that he is, and the numbers we're getting from him now are kind of the numbers we were just getting from him while he was a member of the Raptors, right? Like Siakam and Barnes were the players, and OG would have nights where he would go off because he would knock down 8 of 10 of his threes and whatnot. But I mean, the Knicks are led by Brunson and they're led by Julius Randle, and those are a lot of shots that go to those two guys. A lot of points go to those two guys. So, $6,200 for OG is fine, but I think that there's, you need a ceiling, I think, for him to really consistently pay this off for me.
I agree. I mean, I liked him last slate. He was 5,600, so he got a $600 price bump. He paid it off last slate. He's, like you said, he has a ceiling when his shot's falling. It's just, it was more of a price point thing for me than it was like, oh, I'm
like,
for
here I'd rather play Jaquez or Bogdan if I'm picking a guy in this range. Moving it down again, a lot of guys we have discussed. Neesmith, small forward, power forward. Here I don't know if that's a new thing or a recent development, but
it's been a little because he's been starting at small forward. They've given him the eligibility.
Any interest here at 55? 6 steals the last 2 games, pace up spot. Probably having guard. Do you think they have Jalen Smith on Jalen Johnson, or would they use Toppin Neesmith here?
Yeah, probably the latter. Toppin. I guess I'm curious on what they're going to do because the Toppin matchup was really effective against Milwaukee, but Neesmith has just been better in every other game, right? Like Neesmith has just been super good, and so I'm okay. I'm okay getting Neesmith. It's also harder to figure out the minutes with Indiana when Bruce Brown's back too, because and then possibly Nembhard. Now again,
both of those guys are questionable, I think, for this game, right?
Yes, both are questionable, but like if both play, now what are we doing? Again, it's like almost comes back to the same point I made the other day. It's like Haliburton, as much as we want to play a game with a 264 total, it's like, okay, you can pencil in Haliburton for 38 minutes. You can pencil in if Nembhard plays McConnell's off the board. Who is like definitively playing minutes for Indiana? Miles Turner, if he stays out of foul trouble. So it's just hard to like really ever, when they're fully healthy, really, really, really understand who Indiana's going to play on a night-to-night basis.
Yep, agreed. Moving our way down, you have Fontecchio here, 5,300. I mean, again, the minutes have been great. The scoring has been great. Can he get it done against the Celtics, I guess, is the big question here.
I mean, he's been really good peripherally. I think that's obviously boosted his fantasy value, 7, 6, 7 rebounds. I don't think that hurts that they're not starting Walker Kessler for those rebounds. The steals have been great for Fontecchio. They're probably going to use him to guard Jason Tatum, so that could go very poorly, very fast for him. So I'm okay with it in a tournament, but nothing more than that.
Yep.
You could just play Herb for cheaper.
Yeah, 52.
If Trey Murphy's out, and we've seen now like what the minutes look like for Herb without Trey Murphy, without foul trouble in a game that stays competitive.
And then you mentioned Caleb Houston here. Obviously, Caleb Houston got a lot of minutes with with Franz Wagner out of the lineup. 31, but we've seen Caleb Houston play games before. Like, I'm not. If I lose to a $4,800 Caleb Houston because he gave me 30 fantasy points, then that's just the break I'm gonna have to take, I guess. Here,
them the breaks, John, because he's this isn't like a plug Cole Anthony in.
No,
right. It's a low.
This isn't a Jaden Hardy. There's some shot volume. Like, I don't know what I'm getting here from.
So for context, because I just wanted to look it up, I was just curious.
Sure. Franz off the floor.
Franz, and I took Markelle Fultz off the floor because Fultz is a high usage player too. I don't know how many minutes they would have shared or whatnot. He does have a 3% usage bump to 15%. Like, he's a 15% usage player with after a bump, 0.76 fantasy points per minute. So it's just not.
Who's the highest? Banchero, probably.
Yeah, it's Banchero. Goga's very high, and that could be very intriguing because Wendell Carter's on the injury report.
Sure.
Cole Anthony also over 1.1 fantasy points.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna get to some Cole Anthony here, and I'll just be hurt by it later when
because he'll play 22 minutes.
22 minutes, yeah, that's probably what's gonna end up happening here. Anthony Black will get 36. I'll just feel like, why?
Why did that just happen?
Yeah, no kidding. All right, anybody else on here with small forward for you? Yeah, some teams on back to back, so we'll have to wait and see, how Denver handles their guys. Right now, this is a 54-52 game, so pretty competitive one against Golden State Denver. So maybe on a back to back against Orlando, they may consider resting somebody.
That would be like, wouldn't be surprising to see like Jamal Murray sit.
Yeah, I mean, he's played back to backs, but you never know at this point.
Yeah, right? I'm just saying, just like if I were to, because Michael Porter hasn't missed a game this year, so like I assume he's not missing a game.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably it. Order. Yeah, I don't think there's
power forward. You have Durant at 10K again. He's been limited at practice. Randall, as I mentioned, has been a monster, but can he do it against Philly? Banchero has been a monster. Double overtime game went to 54 fantasy points, 43 actual, but in regulation games, 53, 51, 57. Now there's no Franz Wagner. Gets Denver on a back-to-back. Now it's in Denver, which obviously has been tough places for some people to play. Any interest on Banchero at 87, Randall at 88, Porzingis at $8,100 here? Any thoughts?
I mean, I think Randall has kind of given us that he can do this against anybody. 39 actual against Minnesota, 38 actual against Orlando. He had the 40 burger against Milwaukee earlier in the year. I'm not necessarily scared off of Randall here. He got the positive regression on the assists after 0. Like, he's averaging almost 5 assists per game. I'm not scared off Randall if that's where your build takes you. Like, he has a tremendous ceiling floor combination right now with current iteration of the Knicks. He's playing all the minutes. They lost depth too. Like, losing Barrett and quickly, they lose depth. It just keeps Randall on the floor more. Banchero, obvious spot to get to because Franz and a lot of pieces are out, but he's 700 in Denver isn't the best spot. Porzingis in tournaments for sure. He's showing, an insane ceiling in 4 of his last 5 games. Yeah. It's not just the offense, it's the defense, it's the combination of the two. Like, he can really be a game changer for.
Yeah, and I guess it'll depend on, like, do they want Porzingis and Horford, against the Pacers? Yeah, we'll wait and see what Boston does here on the front end
Right.
of this back-to-back.
It's interesting to see Horford show up on the injury report, and maybe they'll stagger him.
They could, yeah, they could go Horford out this one, Zinger out the next. So could be something to watch. Miles Bridges at 79, Zion at 77. Still Zion coming off of 44 fantasy points. A couple of good games. There's a dud mixed in between there in Brooklyn where they won by that blowout.
Yeah.
Only 29 minutes because of the blowout-ish game against Minnesota there as well. What are your thoughts on the 7K tier here?
My thoughts are, wow, Karl Anthony Towns' price has just fallen off a cliff.
Yeah. We liked him at 78 and, didn't really get us what we would hope for.
No.
Love the minutes.
Yeah.
But can he do it against Houston, right? Like that would be the test.
Yeah. It's definitely a tougher spot. It's definitely just a price that it's just hard to ignore.
Yeah.
That's all for me it comes down to. In tournaments, I'd be willing to get to Towns. This is actually this is a better spot probably for him because Houston is running like two bigs, and not many teams do run double big. So yeah, Towns at 72 is the one guy that really stands out. But I'm not playing him over Jalen Johnson. That's the problem. I mean,
right.
He's 72. Jalen Johnson went for 50 in 29 minutes because he was in foul trouble all night. Yep. I mean, what if Jalen Johnson wasn't in foul trouble in that game? What is his fantasy score in versus OKC? Does he go for 60? He goes for 60 in a competitive game, or in a non-foul trouble game. I mean,
the rebounds lately have been wild, right?
Yeah.
Sacramento, Washington, OKC. You mentioned if he played another 9 minutes, he probably gets another 10 rebounds here. Yeah, I'm in. I'm all. He had 40 fantasy points against him in that first game too. Like this is a perfect matchup for him there. Jabari 66, not really interested in that spot. Sadiq Bay's down to $5,900. Still played a whole boatload of minutes, man.
Yes. Now there was a added minute ceiling because of the Jalen Johnson foul trouble, but 32 to 34 seems like where he'll sit. So now he's under 6K. I'm definitely.
He had the double against him in that first game as well. Talked Neesmith already. Anybody else down here that we haven't discussed? Jalen Smith at 52. Gonko's at 51. Matu at 5K if there's no Durant.
Yeah, I'd rather, honestly, if I'm going to say it, I'd rather play Bull if there's no Durant.
That's fair.
Than play Matu.
Power forward, center only. 19 and 20 minutes, last 2 games.
We saw this in Orlando, did we not? We were wondering. I remember we were doing the show last year. We're like, why did Orlando just remove Bull from the rotation? He was like one of their better players last year. And obviously things have changed for Orlando and he would not have a role in that team. But if there's no Durant or Eric Gordon too, like there's just more minutes to have on the wing for Bull. So I probably would just ignore Matu and go right to Bull. Other than that, it is interesting what Indiana does with Obi Toppin's minutes because he's been really, really good lately. 4,600. He's the cheapest of all the Indiana wings. Another guy I'm really interested in here, John. I want to get your take. The Miami Heat started Nikola Jovic the other day, and he had 30 fantasy points. And I don't think he doesn't play because he can't score, because I think he really can score.
First round pick last year, right?
Yeah, last year, first round pick. He was like the 28th pick.
Playing him over Hightower?
Huh?
Highsmith, rather. Playing him over Highsmith right who's out?
Yeah, and there's no Jimmy, there's no Highsmith. Caleb Martin is doubtful, I believe. They've gone 2 approaches. They've started Jovic and they've started Jamal Cain. When one of them starts, they play big minutes. When they don't play any minutes. So Spo is just basically saying all right, if you're the starter, you're playing big minutes. If he starts 4,400, he's probably going to be popular.
Jovic has played 20 plus minutes 3 times this season. He's given you 30, 23, and 30 fantasy points in those 3 games. So
I would be really surprised if Kevin Durant were to start, but also it is one of those things. Miami's playing a lot of zone defense, so not necessarily matters. Matchups don't necessarily matter in that instance. So if Jovic were to start at 4,400, makes it really pretty good value.
Okay. Did Chuma get minutes in that game?
He did. He played a lot. He played a lot of minutes.
7 minutes. Alert Justin Fensterman. His boy's back in town.
No, that's my boy.
Whatever.
He played both overtimes, so we'll see what the Chuma minutes look like.
Starts.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
I mean, they could do that. You could play Chuma alongside Bunkero and
I got a Chuma autograph laying around my desk here somewhere.
Hell yeah!
I gotta pull it out.
Time
to sell. Time to sell.
When he scores 20, on the Nuggets, sell at the peak.
Chuma stock never higher. All right, center position. We talked about the elite point guards. What in the world do we do with Joel Embiid? Where does he rank for you with Haliburton and Trae Young on this slate? And SGA.
One.
He's one?
Dude,
you build one lineup. You're building one lineup tonight. Is Joel Embiid in that lineup? Or one of the guards in your lineup?
Dude, think about this, right? You think about a 264 total. It's not something that we're accustomed to seeing. Correct. And I understand it. I'm not sitting here saying that's not the best game environment ever. Then you look at Joel Embiid's box score, and you look at the game environments that Joel Embiid has had, okay? Chicago, 29th in pace, 74 fantasy points, triple-double in 3 quarters. Toronto, pace down spot, 70 fantasy points, 1 assist shy of a triple-double, 35 minutes. Minnesota, best defensive team in the NBA. Rudy Gobert, going to win Defensive Player of the Year. 17 of 25 from the floor, 17 of 18 free throws, 51 actual points, 77 fantasy points. He averaged 40 points a game for an entire month of the season.
Yep.
An entire month, he averaged 40. And I heard Patrick Beverley give this take about how if he continues to be this good throughout the season, this would be one of the most dominant seasons of all time, if not the most dominant. And he's so right. Dude, it has not mattered whether the game total was 130 points or 270 points. Joel Embiid is clocking in. He is giving you 30 and 15, multiple blocks and steals a game, and there's always a chance there's a triple-double attached to it as well. And as great as Haliburton is and has been, and as great as Trae Young can and has been, and as great as SGA is and has been, they're not doing what this dude is doing every night. As great as they are, as great as the game environments, nobody is doing what Joel Embiid is doing. And like, we can sit here and say, well, this is not sustainable. The dude just did 40 and 10 for a whole month. So what's not sustainable about that? And you know what he did the next month? Well, 31, 15, and 10 over 31 minutes because he just got to chill in the fourth quarter. Yeah. So, like, I understand you coming back and being like, well,
I'm just asking. No, I'm not even disagreeing. This is a guy that is shooting, 60% from the 53%, 54% from the floor, all around the rim, right? Like he's not a volume shooter. Man is shooting 18 for 23, 15 for 28, 17 for 25, within like a 5-foot-ish, 10-foot-ish radius, and a lot of it's in the paint as it is, anyways. He's got all the free throws, that he's attacking there on the, when he gets to the line, a ridiculous amount of times. Yeah, I am with you, Joel Embiid. It's not even any disrespect to Nikola Jokic here, who's 11-4 and is having just a monster night so far himself against Golden State. At halftime, he's got 17, 6, and 6. But like, if that was Joel Embiid, he would have 21, 10, and 8 at halftime. The way he's been going, right? Like he's been that damn good. So Embiid for me, full on agreement with you. I mean, if Jared Allen is going to continue to play this way, 29 minutes for him, he had 56 fantasy points, 17, 19, and 7. And what did we say about Jared Allen all of a sudden? Where are these assists coming from? 7, 6, 6, 4, 7? Is it? We talk all the time. Sports are in imitation leagues, right?
Yep.
Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, these guys are running their offenses from the center position. and they're like, oh, this is working. Let's see. And then all of a sudden, Jared Allen's more than doubling his seasonal assist total the last 5 games. I mean, I know it's Washington. I know they just won by 30, but this is a dominant spot again for Jared Allen.
Yep. So they're doing something with him. I've been looking into like more, especially for the props, like assists, potential assists and touches and stuff. He's like in the top half of the league per game over the last 5 games in touches. He's touched the ball more on a game-to-game basis than Chris Middleton, Pascal Siakam, Stephen Curry, Brandon Ingram, Drew Holiday, Derek White, CJ McCollum, Kawhi Leonard. He averages more touches than those players every night, John, for the last 5 games during this like recent stretch. Those are like 8 All-Stars that I just mentioned. And then Jared Allen, who is just kind of doing everything. So, I mean, you really just can't go wrong playing Jared Allen. And you just hope if you play him that this game stays competitive. Because if this game stays competitive, dude, if that game stays competitive, he might go for 80. He would have had like 80 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Because there's a triple-double potential.
There's another 10 minutes waiting for him.
So, I mean, if you play Jared Allen, you're Donovan Mitchell and really anybody that costs money on Cleveland, you're hoping that this game stays competitive, because he's just a freak of nature.
Agreed. Chet, obviously tough game there against Atlanta. Only 25 minutes. It was the back-to-back there.
Yep.
We talked Towns. Okay, Claxton's been playing some pretty good ball. 28 minutes for him. Had the 5 fouls there, but had the double-double. $7,100. Nurkic did not have the day many had hoped for against Clippers. No. Just 25 minutes in that game. Didn't even finish that game. They had him on the bench to close that one out. So tough run for him. You have Turner. You have Capella, who we've been talking a lot about. 25 minutes. Okonkwo comes back in that game as well. Where are we going outside of sort of that Allen, Embiid range?
Claxton's good, 7,100. I wish there was we did see the 37 minutes against OKC. I wish we'd see that more, because they just keep him at 28 to 38 too often. Give me 37 minutes of Nick Claxton more regularly, please. I would consider Miles Turner if you think he can stay out of foul trouble in this game. When he does, he has a really high ceiling. Hasn't been as good defensively this year, but the blocks are starting to come back for Miles Turner. Multiple blocks in 7 of his last 8 games. So we're starting to see that version of Miles Turner again. That's it though, John. I don't think there's much in the mid-tier that's really appealing. I know it's against Jokic. I would have mild interest in Goga Batadze at 56 if Wendell Carter was out. I do think Goga is a pretty good fantasy point per minute guy. I told you the other day I liked Walker Kessler. I kind of remain firm on the Walker Kessler thing. He checked in for John Collins really early, played 30 minutes, 31 fantasy points, 6 blocks for Walker Kessler. So, he's going to contest a lot of shots. I think he's just the center they have realized that they should be playing, and we've now gotten that in 3 of the last 4 games. Here's one for you. The Heat also played Kevin Love a lot of minutes next to Bam Adebayo, which, they started the season doing, and then they were just using him as the backup center. Dude, if Kevin Love has a chance to approach 28 minutes in a game, I think you immediately have to be intrigued because he's just such a good fantasy player.
We've talked about it this year. Kevin Love is playing 20 minutes a night.
Yeah.
He has multiple games here of 20-ish minutes where he's giving you 32, 35, 36, 31. If that's what we're looking at, 22 to 24, right. I have some interest for sure at that spot. Okonkwo came back, played 22 minutes, gave you 21 fantasy points. He's 5,100. Day'Ron Sharpe keeps on doing the thing. Both centers had double-doubles in that game. Both centers had 5 fouls in that game. So, dealer's choice when it comes to the Brooklyn Nets, but Sharpe's been a super good fantasy point per minute play. We got Naz Reid under 5K now. Kelly Olynyk potentially auditioning for his future team. at $4,700.
John, what do you make of the Sharp minutes against OKC being 8 and Nick Claxton playing 37 the last time they played? Because he does not match up good with Chet. If he has to chase Chet around the perimeter, that's not good.
Sure. And I remember actually having this conversation in our Discord, or maybe it was the live stream. Someone asked us about Day'Ron Sharp, and we're like, yeah, like minutes have definitely been better, good dart throw, and then he just did not see the floor.
Yep.
Right? So, but that is also the Nets for you. They do that sometimes. Any other value centers for you here? We talked obviously Jovic, Larry Nance, $4,300 playing another 20 minutes the other night against Minnesota.
Good again. Larry Nance.
Price decrease too, $4,300 now.
Nance is definitely in play. There's always, the chance now that Isaiah Jackson's the backup center and like Jalen Smith is playing like
power forward.
Yeah, I mean if there's foul trouble for Turner, Jackson comes on the floor and he is a really high volume fantasy point per minute scorer.
Yeah, he had 17 fantasy points in 12 minutes against Atlanta. Also 5 fouls in that game.
Also 5 fouls, classic. So yeah, I mean,
Duop Reith got ejected against Dallas in 6 minutes.
Dude, that game was hilarious for Portland centers. Did you see Baji's night?
No.
Go look at he's 3,600. Look at Ibu Baji and look at the minutes and then look at the fouls.
6 fouls, yeah. So Reith had 4 fouls in 6 minutes and Baji had fouled out in 15, huh?
Yeah, sure did. And Jabari Walker got hurt in that game. Didn't return after 16 minutes. And DeAndre Ayton was out. And Moses Brown was out.
Right. So Jeremy Grant played the 5?
There was, did they actually need a traditional 5 at that point? No, because it didn't matter. They played just a whole assortment of guys. Chris Murray, Ish Wainwright,
If Al Horford's out, do you play the murder cornet?
Look. He obviously had the game of his entire career against Toronto.
Yeah.
I, for one, benefited from that game. He was the best player in the world. The only scenario I'd probably get to a 4,200 Luke Cornett is with both of them.
Okay.
Probably. Unless he was just like starting.
No, I just don't know who the backup center is anymore.
I know it's just another one of those situations where like you don't. This is like Indiana last year, where like it was half the time it was Jalen Smith, half the time it was Isaiah Jackson. Now we don't have to worry about it, but.
All right, Embiid and Haliburton would give us 4,700 a player.
I don't think that's possible.
Don't think we can get there. Would you rather Haliburton and Allen or Embiid and a cheaper guard?
Doesn't necessarily have to be a cheaper guard, but
I can't.
There has to be value somewhere, like Jovic.
Yeah, I think Jovic is probably fine to plug in there, or Love, one of the two.
Jovic is just significant. I would just say, just for the savings portion of this program, Jovic makes a lot of sense.
Let's see. We had Jovic. We had Norm.
Oh, Jalen Johnson. Please get
Jalen Johnson in there.
Oh, we can't play him with Haliburton. No, it's not possible.
We could. We just have to get.
You'd have to play like Sam Merrill.
Oh, we'll just do this. We'll just down there.
Sure
there's Jared Allen. Am I just blind? There he is. 83. If you want, I'm fine going to Merrill here. 58.50 for a small forward. Fontecchio. You go Duncan Robinson.
Fontecchio, I think I'd lean.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Would you rather Merrill or Alvarado if you had to pick one?
GTA. But that's contingent on Murphy. Merrill's like we know is going to play.
Oh, that's fair. 6,400 then gives us Levert Jaquez 63, Clarkson 62.
Ooh, I don't know about
61.
Yeah, I'd be okay with any of that. I don't know if we were going to play 2 Utah guys against Boston. So like I would like to say Clarkson, but that would be we'd have 1% owned Utah. I'll tell you that. They're not going to be highly owned.
That's true. Could do Neesmith over Fontecchio if you wanted.
No, like I'm okay. I'm not saying I'm not okay playing with Utah. Like 2 Utah guys though is just.
Well, we'll do this for an example lineup then for everybody. Haliburton, Powell, Fontecchio, Jovic, Allen, Merrill, Jalen Johnson, and Jaime Jaquez. We'll have the playbook out for everybody on Friday. If you have any questions, get us in the Discord. We'll be back live 5 p.m. Eastern for everybody. Get you all the latest updates and news for this Friday slate. We'll talk to you then.